technical skills. I'm just a community manager for an open source company. So I just even started. So I'm just looking for opportunities to grow. And one afternoon, Shreya reached out to me to say that I got in. I was like, wow, that's loud. So that's just my short journey to Jina, and it has been fun because I had a discussion with my mentor and he showed me how to use Disco art, and I'm pretty fascinated about that. So I've been trying to set up my notebook to see if I can run some and give some sweet prompts to see what comes up. So yeah, that's it for me.
Love that for you. I mean, I love the fact that you're embracing what makes you scared and what makes you daunted, and just putting yourself out there. And that's such a great thing to do. I mean, as someone wrote in the chat, I think Jyoti wrote in the chat, just the community manager. That's legit.
Yeah, like what? She was like, I'm not an NG. I don't know how to code, but I'm just a community manager. I'm like, girl, come on. That's the weight of a community on your shoulders.
Exactly. And we're really glad to hear about your experience with the squad, and I cannot wait to see what you create. I'm pretty sure it's going to be amazing. And I would love to see about it on the screen. All right. Does anyone else want to share their journey about what made them sign up for JCAP and how they learned about Jina?
Yeah, sure, Shreya. I would like to share that. Almost 2-3 months ago, I was involved with Jina, and I was part of 14 days of Jina challenge. And during that time, I had no prior experience to ML, but the way I progressed with Jina and I got to know about so much complex stuff that would have been rather complex while working in pure Python. But with Jina, it's completely easier, and that made sense to me. So I thought that I should be involved with Jina, and after 2-3 months, I have also seen the GitHub repo, and I found that the GitHub is really an active place for Jina, and I love open source. So these were the two things that made me join Jina back again. So that was all.
Yeah, that's great. We love to hear stories about people who have had good experiences building with Jina and then coming back again to, build more projects with us. And now that you have all of this experience, you can make really great content. And we can't wait to see also what you build with Jina now. But no pressure. Yeah, no pressure. Yeah, as Sophia asked on the channel, did you share your project with our community? If you haven't yet,
Yeah, I shared it back then, but it was not much. It was 80% the same as the example. But yeah, I worked upon it and quite figured it out how I can improve upon it.
Very good. Glad to hear that. Yeah. Anyone else who wants to answer this, just feel free to cut me off whenever you want. Mississippi. All right. Okay. This question is getting boring. We're going to move on to the next one, which is more about community and open source. And I'm sure a lot of people in the JCAP dabble in open source communities. And that's why I want to ask you, how does community play a role for you in learning any new technology? I mean, your experiences with, dabbling with, something that you found daunting, and then you joined a community and you said, hey, this isn't really that difficult. Has that ever happened to you? I know that happens to me a whole lot, but yeah.
Yeah, this recently happened to me just yesterday, that I was working on a project. It was more of a proof of concept. So I was working on Dino. So I basically come from the Node background, but I was working on Dino, and there's a new framework called Fresh framework based on Dino. So I was working upon it, and I found that there is no charting library there. Like in Node.js, we use Chart.js as the other charting libraries, but there was no charting library. So I just found the community of Fresh. I joined the Discord and I raised a ticket that maybe if someone can help me. So they said that there is no charting library, but what you can do is that you can get the data, you can generate an image, and you can get that image back to your project. So in this way, a static image is getting created every time the data changes. So somehow I managed to do the trick, and I was really thankful to community that I was able to get like how I figured out how things will be working by the help of community. And in general also, like I don't come from computer science background, I come from the electronics and communication background, but during lockdown my okay, so during lockdown I got involved in coding, and since then there has been no going back, and thanks to community only that I have been able to learn what I know.
Yay! We love that journey for you. We love the fact that community is making you explore different things. I also am from an EC background, and I kind of like also started picking up, started doing something about my interest in coding and during the lockdown too. And I know that community has helped me get there a whole lot. So I do know that some of our members in the JCAP, I'm not sure if they're on the call, are also part of this amazing community, which is called Codex Cafe. So does anyone want to talk about how that has helped them with their journey of open source and technology and coding in general?
I could write a novel about this right now.
Then write it. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, I'm just so sleepy. By the way, just one question, Himanshu, do you know the one by Ryan Dahl? So I remember I gave a talk a few days back in GDG Dehradun, and that I was talking about Node.js and how Node.js, it was Node.js versus Dino. And so smart of that in Jina, he was like, whatever were the shortcomings in Node.js, let's improve that and create Dino. So that's smart. I really love seeing a fellow who is also in JavaScript. Talking of Kodes, I want to hear from you. She knows I'm talking about her.
Oh.
Manasvi.
Yeah, I just couldn't hear my name somehow, and so I think community does help quite a couple of times when I enjoy doing different domains and stuff like that. So I just poke my nose in almost everything that I find, and a couple of times when I get stuck, so Codes Cafe or other communities as well, which I'm part of, I just ping in there that I am having this issue, and someone just get backs to me and with a solution to it, and I feel like it's quite interesting sometimes, and you get to build connections as well. I feel it's very important and really good experience.
Agreed. Yeah. I also really love the collaborative nature of open source, and connections while coding, especially, are really important to, for growth in general. So, to that, Manasvi. I also want to know, as our final question. Yeah, I know this panel is ending soon, but still, I want to know from you all how your experience with JCAP has been so far, and what are some interesting lessons that you've learned from your mentors, from anyone else, from who said that, and just share anything that you would want to learn or have learned, which is of great importance. Okay. Before I go and select people to answer this, does anyone want to volunteer to answer this?
Yeah, I would love to volunteer for this. Like yesterday, I was on call with Dipankar, and he was really cool. And I was like, I have worked with Jina earlier, but I was unaware about the whole ecosystem in general. Like I just knew Docker and some services, but Dipankar gave me a very brief overview about all the services, and I found it really amazing that despite having all the detailed knowledge, it's kind of difficult for a person with so much knowledge to explain everything in brief. But he did it in so beginner friendly way, and I was able to get the jinx of it. And now I'm working on an article. Maybe you will be getting it really soon, probably by next week. And that was a secret, but never mind. So I hope you will enjoy it, and I'll try to keep it as simple as possible, along with some memes as well.
Ooh, we cannot wait. And it was supposed to be a secret, but you spilled the beans anyway. So anyway. Hey, Giancarlo turned his camera on, which I'm taking as a sign that he wants to say something. Yes.
Well, I can answer your question from my side. Yeah, I would say that the cool part is the contact with the mentors, right? So I had a very nice chat with Bo. So shout out to Bo for that. And also with you, Shreya. So like, and I don't know, hopefully in the next days with many more people from Jina. And it's just good to be able to have close conversation and yeah, to better program, you know, next steps and everything. So shout out for that.
I'm still waiting for my shout out, Jan. I'm still waiting. I feel betrayed. It's okay.
Yeah, Joe. Okay, at a certain point, we're gonna also have a chat, maybe one of many.
All right.
And we will together working on a new blog about clip retrieval, I think, me and Giancarlo. It's already planned.
That's something that I want to read for sure. All right. I think that's all the time that we have on the panel, sadly, but it doesn't have to end there. If you want to follow our JCAP members' journey closely, you can do so on their socials, on our socials, on their blogs, on our blogs, because this is a collaboration and their articles are going to be everywhere. So you can also give them feedback and help them by telling them what you really think about their content and how you know, they can
centralize somewhere, because I have sometimes the feeling there are scattered sources of information.
The blogs or the content?
Both.
The blogs will be released on our Medium, which is Medium.
Yeah, Alex told me something about it because Alex wanted me to create a blog with him. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the collaborative blogs will be released there. So anything that you post will be up on the Jina publication, which is our main publication from our main account of Medium. And those will also be tweeted and put up on our LinkedIn, which will be on our socials. So you can
social media and yeah, okay, got it.
And our blog. Those were the main sources of information. Thank you for raising that point. And yeah, that is all the time. Thank you, everyone. And now I'm going to turn my camera off and proceed to enjoy the rest of the evening muted.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Shreya. Awesome. So I think now we have time for some questions. And we do have some that people have submitted in advance, but if anyone has a question who is with us live right now, please feel free to unmute and ask a question or type it into the chat. We will see it and we will. I think now we have time for. Sorry, I was getting some echo there. I thought someone was interrupting me, but it was just me. Again, feel free to unmute and ask any questions you have. Otherwise, I will go to the questions that were submitted in advance. Okay, so the first question I see here is, hey, Jina World, I am still loving all the great work coming from the team. Could you give a walkthrough of how to use Fine-Tuner for images? So, Joan, do you have any insight there?
Actually, we have a blog already. We have in our documentation, there is already an example of that. Bo, you wanted to share something? I don't know if Bo is there.
Yes, I'm here. If you, I don't know who, can I share my screen with you?
Yes, you can share the screen.
Yeah. Good. Let me share my screen. If you check out the Fine-Tuner documentation, we really spent a lot of efforts on writing the documentations. You can basically check the walkthrough If you go through it, install how the basic concepts, loading, login, prepare training data. And after you read through this walkthrough part, you can go to these 3 concrete tasks. So basically, if you want to search image with image, you can basically come to here. You can just copy the code. It can run as it is. So very easy. Just do some reading on the documentation. It will solve your question, I believe. That's it.
Great. Thank you for that, Bo. I don't know who asked the question because it was anonymous, but if there was anything specific you were looking for that's not covered in the documentation, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, we can move on to the next question. So the next question is, I've got an executor on Jina Hub called Pegasus Summarizer, and Joanne mentioned preloading the transformer model with some command in the Docker file. Please advise.
So yeah, I guess I know who this is. So the thing here is, when, I don't know if you created the Hub executor via Jina Hub New, which I recommend. When you use Jina Hub New, there is a kind of a, I don't know what's the term for this, where the terminal asks you things and you respond. How do we name that? Well, whatever. You all know what I mean. And at some point, he asks you if you want to go to advanced. Sophia is laughing. To advanced configuration, and in the advanced configuration, you are asked if you want to edit your own Docker file. So under the hood Jina Hub, in the simple way, when you have a simple executor that doesn't require extra steps in Docker file, Jina Hub knows how to build these Docker files for you under some template that we have come with. But when you need extra things, you can edit the Docker file yourself. We'll give you a Docker file that is the templated one, and you can edit there. So you will see that there are a lot of steps, and before the entry point of the Docker file, well, to do this, you need some knowledge about Docker, some basic knowledge and how to write Docker files. But before the run executor, before the entry point, you can add another layer in the Docker file that does anything that you want. And maybe in this case, if you want to preload into this image a big model, you can add something, and then that Docker image will have that in the disk, and the image will be larger, so it will be much more expensive to download the image at the first time, but at start time, the executor will not have to download the model.
Okay, great. We have a couple more questions that have been submitted in advance, but any questions from the people in the chat right now? I'm not hearing any. So let's move on to the next question. Unless I'm giving very specific color instructions, my renders, so I'm assuming this is about disco art, are coming out very muted, not something I've experienced with disco diffusion. Any suggestions?
To be honest, this is something that I'm not so familiar with there. I don't know if there is a specific documentation stuff. I am not really good at this generative art myself at this moment. So I don't know if in the documentation is there something else, or I would more maybe ask it in the community channel where everyone can respond. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I think in the community channel, or there's also a Discord where people share a lot of tips about prompt engineering for disco art and Dolly Flow. Might be a better place to ask. And we have another question also about disco art, which is, what do you think about disco art with less art and more realism? For example, for editing real photos. Sounds interesting. I think it's not something that it's currently configured to do. But there's no reason. Yeah, there's no reason someone couldn't do it. I think it's a good idea, and I think whoever asked the question could. There we go. So Marco, I think it sounds like something to experiment with.
Yep. Yeah, and the meaning of the question is that I'm wondering if, for example, instead of using virtual reality, for example, I can pass an image as initial image or something, and I can wrote other something else, and so customize my initial image, and so create something that could be visual, useful for, something that would simulate an environment with anything else on this. So yeah. I was wondering if on the track there is something on this, and maybe some models that trained for this specific property. But yeah, it's just a question.
So let me check in on this one. So actually, with DALL-E 2, you can do something like that. So if you see it on the DALL-E 2 website presentation, they do have this functionality. So basically, you can like insert an object in a picture and stuff like that. It's still not super guided in the sense that you can ask like to insert, I don't know. I think I don't remember how that animal is called, but I think at a certain point they also have something like inserting furniture in a room or something like that. But you don't have specific control like where to put it in the room or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, in principle, you could do it yourself. Only that it's not it's not off the shelf available yet, but maybe it's coming. So yeah, I don't know. DALL-E 2, they do something similar.
Yeah.
If you do manage to create it, definitely share it in the Slack. We'd all love to see it.
Sure.
Sounds like a cool project.
Yeah.
And also share your works on the showcase channel.
Yeah.
I'll do this after my working hours, so stay tuned.
Great. Well, do we have any more questions from people in the chat right now?
So I've got a question. So let's see. So okay, so I'm in the Jina community since a while, right? So like it's 1 year more or less. And the Jina has evolved a lot. So I arrived that there was still Jina 1. Now we are at Jina 3. So like the evolution has been pretty fast, but I mean a lot of good stuff coming. And yeah, so Jina has become an ecosystem, right? So my question is always, okay, so what's next? So do we have any like nice things that people is working on and that we could expect to see in the near future, or just some hints maybe? I know that the fine tuner is about to get out of beta or something like that, but yeah, so I don't know, like, do we have any hints about that?
Great question.
So we are for this, so we always have things to do. So we will continue working on our Dockery and core and fine tuner, especially in Dockery and core as our open source biggest projects. And we are moving on to supporting even better for moving into the cloud with our JCloud and with our hub infrastructure and so on. So we are working heavily on making it easier for users to bring all the nice flows, executors, and pipelines into production with JCloud. So for this trip to the cloud is where we are putting more efforts.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Doesn't seem like it.
I think
All right.
as a wrap-up question will be, so what are your plans for the evening?
That's a good question. Anyone want to take that one?
Well, I'm planning to go to the beach to go clear my head.
That sounds good. Oh, Jody is planning to, she's planning to sleep. Love it. I will do the same. Yeah, I think it's a great wrap up. Nicholas, would you like to finish the meeting?
Sure. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Thank you for being part of this community. And thank you especially to those who asked questions and shared what they're working on. That is what we like to hear. That's what we're here for today. So if there are no other questions or comments, I think we can end it there for today. And looking forward to seeing you all next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.